Hey guys, good to be here for this week's Oxen Labs update. On the session team, big news, we have a new developer, an Android developer, previously worked at Canva and Google. So he's just being onboarded this week. Super excited to get someone new on the team and hopefully accelerate the pace of Android developments because we have been basically like trading iOS devs into the Android teams to keep things up to date. But we should have 2 people on Android now, 2 people on iOS, and 2 people on desktop. So that's really good news for us. Otherwise, the devs have basically been working on the same things that I've been talking about for weeks now, which is the user configuration message focus. It's done on iOS. It will be done this week on Android. And desktop is still a little bit further behind being complete, but making really good progress. There's a bunch of little things that have been going on. We had to release a bug fix release last week, I guess Thursday, because we had some issues with our certificates expiring, our self-signed certificates, talk to the C nodes. So those updates have rolled out. There are some issues that have occurred on iOS though with those releases. So I know that there's currently an issue with iOS 13 users having a crash on startup. So that's a fairly small amount of users, but still we want to fix that issue. And the actual issue there is with Apple or the latest version of Xcode. If you compile with the latest version of Xcode, it causes issues with iOS 13. So we're hoping that Apple will fix that soon, but we're going to compile with the old version of Xcode. So hopefully the next build we put out, which will be today, which will be tomorrow, should have those fixes in for iOS 13 users. And then there's also a few people who haven't been able to access the seed nodes because the fix we put in for our certificate pinning issues or our SSL expiration issues is having issues on certain devices. We're not 100% sure why it's happening, but we have a fix for that, which will be coming soon. So yeah, iOS issues being slowly resolved, but yeah, we're getting to all of them, and some of them not our fault, which is good to know. On the other side of things, Android's running smoothly, desktop's running smoothly, and basically they're just working on, iOS is working on a few media info screens, and desktop basically just getting through disappearing messages and the previous stuff I talked about, user configuration messages. On Oxen Core, good news, we have the audit scheduled. So that is going to start on the 19th, according to the audit firm that we've contracted with. So the ledger audit should be moving forward, which is great. Good to have that one. I wouldn't say checked off the list because there's still things that could go wrong. It seems like there's been every hurdle has popped up for the ledger audit, but it seems to be coming along a lot nicer now, and this should be one of the last things before Ledger accepts it into their official code base. And yeah, basically just working on staking and registration commands as well, as I spoke about last week. We're still working on that stuff. Cool. And then on the LokiNet team, essentially continuing our work on the LokiNet. So doing pretty heavy testing over the last couple of weeks to work out like how LokiNet compares to libLokiNet and vice versa. And we're seeing that there's still a significant room for improvement in libLokiNet itself in terms of how it compares to LokiNet. So there's still quite a bit of refactoring that probably needs to occur. And also we're removing some of the quick code and putting it into its own library so it can be used across project, not necessarily just in LokiNet, but also allowing kind of nodes to connect together with a quick connection. We're building that out as a capability that we may use in LokiNet at a later point, just to abstract some of the stuff that we've done in the wire protocol, because we've written our own custom wire protocol and it doesn't exactly work as well as Quick does. So we want to try and use Quick in more places, and that's what's going on with the library, which we're calling libQuickyNet, which should basically pull out this quick connection logic, and then we'll be able to use it in other places in LokiNet where we don't want to use this custom wire protocol that we've kind of put together with bits and bobs. So yeah, that just about wraps us up for the dev stuff. Big stuff coming down the line. No, I've been saying that for a few weeks, but We're getting really close on the session side of things, so I think you should see something really soon. Anyway, I'll pass it over to Josh for the next section. Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed your Easter. We definitely did over here at Oxen HQ. And because of Easter, we actually had a shorter week last week, and next week's going to be short as well with that long weekend. But because of the long weekend and that short week, we spent a lot of time trying to prep content and stuff for socials to go out over the long weekend, so it wasn't just so quiet while everyone was away enjoying their Easter. So we did that. We also started delegating some Q2 tasks, the stuff that we've been prepping in the last couple of weeks. We started dishing that out, and people have started to get sunk into them. Also, on top of that, we've also been continuing the prep for the Oxen promotion that we're going to do after our refresh is live, where we freshen up the brand a little bit. We've also started on that front chats with other PR agencies. There's nothing concrete just yet, but we're just kind of putting our feelers out there and seeing if we find a good fit for us. And on top of that, we're also doing an influencer strategy that we've been working on. So if you guys know any influencers that you would personally recommend, I suggest sliding right on into Alex's DMs on Telegram and hitting him up, and then we can assess it and add him to the list. We also created a new Oxen media kit that we can give out to anyone who's wanting to promote Oxen in the future. So that's nice and updated and looking schmick now. We also were working on our customer support Q2 strategies and action plans. So that was another thing that we were doing last week. We've also been doing a whole bunch of work on the UI and UX for session, especially in relation to the new groups designs that are going to be coming out, popping out later this year. So that was going on, and now video. In terms of video, pretty sure we had the Q&A with Alex and Chris come out, and that one went a lot better than the previous one. All the internet issues are now solved, so that went swimmingly. And then also we dropped that video with Jason, where he's basically discussing liblokinet and libsession. So that sit down with Jason got dropped as well. And yeah, we've been continuing to plug away and apply at grant applications, any ones that kind of suit us. So that's something that we continue to do. And with Moneratopia actually fast approaching, we've started to put together materials for that. So that's things like the talks that we're going to do, one pages, business cards, that kind of thing. So we can really make the most of our time at Moneratopia. And that's basically it. It was a shorter week last week, but we managed to pack a whole lot in there. But yeah, that's it. And I'll catch you next time, fellow travelers.